Hey guys, so give me a second. First of all, of course, you know how it is. I gotta pull up the chat on my phone, which I have like 500 things on here. So give me a small second. Woo! Yeah, it's taking a sweet time to let me find my stream. Okay, give me a sec. Okay, there we go. All right, I have it. Of course, we are on Discord as well while we are doing this, because why not? Alright guys, so political compass time. I think I know exactly where I'm going to land. And for that matter, give me a second. I'll give you my prediction. I don't know. We're just probably around here. Where's like the actual chart though? These are like all the British parties. Plug up what? Okay. I don't know. Offended by dank helicopter memes. I'm probably gonna be in this one right here. A lazy 3-year-old's description of an ideal society. Hey kids, want to try some materialism? Aging happiness. So this is probably aging hippies. So this is probably gonna be Bernie would be. I'm probably gonna be around here somewhere. That would be probably be like, I don't know, but too empathetic to even commit to empathy. While you were out partying, I studied the blade. Secretly wants to live in a post-apocalyptic society. Ron Paul 2012. Thank helicopter memes. Yeah, polar opposites as you can clearly tell. Western civilization as a whole, literally Mussolini. Still butthurt about the French Revolution. Literally Hitler. Eh. You know what I'll say? You know what I'll go with that. I would honestly put Hitler more towards the right since I consider it a socialism, not a real socialism. I consider it like bourgeois socialism. So therefore, I would put it more towards a little bit towards the right here. But middle coast wannabe radicals, so I'm just saying, and of course Marxists. And then there's obviously all these Chad memes of it, which dang, I get the communist tattoo neck, rainbow flag person probably. Let's just take the compass test first. Like, I think I have a pretty good idea of where I am. Like, I think I do, but I could be completely wrong. And this does sum it up from my point of view pretty well. Angry. Doesn't even know what's going on. But I love they're all this Chad. Militarism. Yay, I guess. Capitalist, policemen, person building tanks, and rebels in the trees. Like, yeah. And of course, there's a downside to it. But let's take this test real quick, because obviously that's what we're here for. We are taking the test, and then okay, let's start off. Let's just start off. Just a few propositions to start with, considering no less. How do you see the country and the world? Or if economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. That is a fact. Why should we let it serve transnational, huge corporations if we are going to have economic globalization? If we're going to have economic globalization, it might as well benefit every single worker, every single child, every single person. And I think that's just fair. And you know what? I'm going to say that fair is not a good word to use, but in my opinion, even if I do consider it a fair word, let's just call it, I don't know, generous or moral. That's a better word. It's moral to do that. That's a good word for it. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. I disagree. Why would I support my country if they're invading Guatemala or, since it's a real thing that might be happening with the US, Venezuela? Why would I support that? I see no reason to. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I tend to agree. While it's cool to like be happy that you were born in a certain country or your like particular community, there is bad stuff in every single country, and at the end of the day, I have friends from other countries. Honestly, my best friend is British, so to me, it's like it doesn't matter at the end of the day, in my opinion. So why would you be a nationalistic person? But if you like have the flag of your country on your wall at the end of the day, who really cares? That's fine. You know, being patriotic for your community, that's fine. That's cool. I just have an issue with nationalism personally, or stuff along those lines. Our race has many superior qualities compared to with other races. I strongly disagree with that. That is, I'm not a white supremacist or, you know, I'm not a racist, basically. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I would tend to agree. Not strongly, but I tend to agree. Because, well, at the end of the day, in World War II, you had to beat the Germans, okay? So, obviously the proletariat would have to align themselves with the enemy of our oppressing enemy. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Depends. If it's a civil war where the military is taking out a dictator, I would agree. So that's why I'm gonna say agree. But if it's like, I'm not going to strongly agree, because if it's something like Russia and Ukraine, that I completely disagree with that. If it's something like the United States and Iraq, I disagree with that. So it's not fully I agree or disagree, but sometimes military action within its own borders that may defy international law sometimes may be necessary. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I disagree. Actually, getting some information of real world events through entertainment has been something that we've gone through throughout history. People have talked about Marxism, socialism, and all these other things through many forms of entertainment. George Lucas was a socialist, and if you watch Star Wars with the lens that he was a socialist, you can get that information that, yeah, socialism's really not that bad. Yeah, I disagree. It's not worrying. In fact, for that matter, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna say strongly disagree. I think it's good to have it, personally. People are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. I strongly agree with that. And I think at the end of the day, we can all kind of come to the consensus that we kind of need that. Like, yeah, we are divided by the rich people that want to keep us divided, because obviously they want us to fight each other instead of them, because they're the ones that are screwing over your paycheck. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Whew. I'm going to disagree. I think unemployment is a worse issue, honestly. I just have to stand by that. It is a worse issue. We can inflate all we want, but as long as we have jobs, preferably jobs that we can fall back on that are state made, inflation won't be an issue after we have no unemployment. because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I strongly agree with that, because really they need regulation because they can't be trusted the same way any human can't be trusted fully with something to protect the environment. Now, sure, a lot of companies do it now, but that's because we have regulations on them. And honestly, some still do it and get away with it, so we need even stronger regulations. Someone might even say we need state organized companies, such as myself. From each according to his ability to each according to his needs. It's fundamentally a good idea. Yes, it is moral, and at the end of the day, that's what I go off of with my opinions. The freer the market, the freer the people. I strongly disagree with that, because at the end of the day, a market with companies doesn't need to be free, but a market where people can choose their own careers and, I don't know, choose to be the best doctor, and then of course the state makes them the doctor of the area, or even have personal competition, but the state just endorses them and protects them from capitalistic issues. I don't know, but something along those lines is probably what I would say, because at the end of the day, anyone that wants to be a doctor should be able to have a doctor. We should have multiple hospitals in an area, and you should be able to go to the best one you see fit, and obviously the state will go in and maybe fire the person that's like chopping off limbs all willy-nilly if that does happen. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now branded and bottled and branded as consumer. I was trying to do this. Bottled and branded as a consumer product. I agree. I actually strongly agree with that. That is sad. Land shouldn't be a company that's bought and sold. I agree. It really shouldn't. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to society. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, I still strongly agree with this, but there are a few exceptions. Very few. Bill Gates started off in a garage, and he does donate to places in Africa to help with their diseases, and that's good of him. But then you have other people like Elon Musk, and that's where you get my strongly agree that it is sad. It is sad that people like Elon Musk just want to put as much money as possible and go to the most authoritarian figures so that way they are the oligarchs. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I would agree. Under this circumstance, we are talking about a socialist company that is talking with the state. I would agree. Because we kind of need to make sure our state-run companies don't get influenced by countries outside of our socialist environment, and hence protectionism is necessary. Also, if we're doing protectionism, the even brighter side to that is we would also receive potentially a lot safer trades, because we have, at its fullest extent, the military making sure nothing bad really happens, like terrorists or anything. And that's just kind of like, the US does it too now. I would love to see every country kind of chipping in for that, but that's just me personally, to secure trade fully. And that's just kind of like not a left or right issue. I think that's just like common sense. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. I strongly disagree with that. It should be to give people a good product. And that is, again, I want the best product, not you getting the most greedy amount of money. Which, right-wingers will argue this too. That, the company, but they argue that companies do this. I don't argue that companies do this. I argue that companies should be doing it, but they're not, honestly. And I have a lot of evidence to back that up. Look at i.e. Oreo, whenever they made their competitor that they were fighting with in the 60s go out of business. The rich are too highly taxed. I strongly disagree. Honestly, it should be a blanket income tax where we're all getting taxed the same percentage amount, and that would tax them a fair amount because they're paying their equal share. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of healthcare. I strongly disagree. We should all have the same amount of healthcare. We should all have the same amount of help. We should all get really good help at that. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I strongly agree. Because Fox News, for example, strongly misleads people and blatantly lies, and yet they're not getting really much consequence. They should be getting a consequence. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator manipulation to create monopolies. Yes. I don't think I need to say much more. We should not have monopolies being formed. Abortion when a woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal. I'm gonna strongly disagree with this one. I'm not a woman. I have no stake in this race. And because of that, I'm gonna go with the pro-choice movement on this one. I do apologize for anyone that has strong opinions on this. I just don't have a hand to ring. All authority should be questioned. I strongly agree with that. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I agree. Also, this one is about, the last one was about economics. This one's about personal social values. I would tend to agree. Sometimes it's just such a bad crime that, you know, you have to go down a little bit. But the overall exception should be, hey, you steal something that's worth $500, you have to pay a $500 fine. You know, stuff like that. But if it's like something like cutting off someone's hand, obviously just go to jail for that instead of like cutting off their hand. It's more civil. So I'm not gonna say strongly agree, but I do slightly agree with it. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Strongly disagree. Just because it can't survive on a commercial basis and can't make a profit doesn't mean that it shouldn't be propped up because, well, it's a fundamental thing to help people get through today or help historians do some more research by looking at artifacts. And honestly, with theaters in particular, if you've heard like the bread and circus thing that the Roman Empire used to do, I kind of agree with it personally. I agree with bread and circus because fundamentally it gives people a laugh. It does, and it helps them brighten up their day. And even if that in the Roman Empire implied, oh, hey, we're just trying to distract you, it's still a good idea to prop up some theaters here and there to help people that are depressed and just people in general have a good day. Have a cheering up smile. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. And if you're wondering what compulsory means, just give me a second. Mandatory. So it should not be mandatory. Now, when it comes to this, when it comes to should not be compulsory, I strongly disagree. Everyone needs to go to school. All people have the rights, but it's better if for all of us that different sorts of people should keep their own kind. I strongly disagree with that. That's just a different wording for segregation. Kind of what right winger would say to walk around it. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. I agree. This has to happen sometimes. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Again, I agree. Doesn't mean I agree with it, but that does sometimes happen. Processing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. I agree. I don't really know how to say there. Marijuana doesn't like make anyone violent. It actually makes people more relaxed and honestly more zooted out, if anything. So I personally think it should be allowed for personal use. You know, it doesn't like affect others. It just makes them zooted. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. I strongly agree. We need people finding their jobs, and you can change careers, but like you gotta like find out what you want to do. By the time we get to like college and upper school, high school, definitely by senior year. People with serious and inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. I disagree. I think they should be able to, like, just like anyone else. I don't really know how else to put that one. What I will say is, oh hey Dashing, I am on Discord. I don't know if you like wanted to join. You know, like, if you wanted to like join. I am leaking the DMs. Let's go. Okay. But yeah, the most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Actually, wait a minute. About the abortion thing. Give me a second. Give me a second. I cannot reasonably give a good opinion on that. What should tell you exactly where I am. I think it should be a woman's choice. Whether to do it or not. And here we go. I'll just call her up on here. Yeah. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Like, they should learn to accept some discipline from their parents and to respect their parents, but it should not be like the most important thing. Like, they should like learn to grow up and be responsible young men, not to take a beating. So therefore I disagree. There are no savage or uncivilized peoples, there are only different cultures. I strongly agree with that. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Strongly disagree. Even if they're a lazy bum, as a Christian, I feel like it's my responsibility to help out everybody. And yeah, encourage them to do stuff, maybe like have them do community service, but they, shouldn't be like homeless and die in a hurricane in Florida, like what would happen to me if I were in that situation. Strongly. When you are troubled, it's better to think about it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with cheerful things. I'd agree. I tend to agree. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. Strongly disagree. There are plenty of people that take the Patriot test for the United States and get perfect scores, better than American citizens would do. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for us. I strongly disagree with that. That is something that is completely untrue. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I disagree. There should always be some sort of public news outlet for people to, no matter what circumstance, to get some sort of news. Now, maybe we won't consider it free news, but at least it's news that's like, free as in monetarily. You can receive it for free, and that is better than, having no news at all and being, and, that's either way, whether it's paid or not, it could, beat up some people with propaganda. Because some people could just be getting lies and not having like the news like research if that they have to pay money for. Or yeah, it's just I don't know. I think I've kind of explained it already. At least good enough. I do plan on like going in depth at some point. But just after this video, never mind. You know what? If a news company is lying and spreading propaganda for the government that is free, it's no different than a news company that's like spreading lies that you have to pay money for, so that doesn't really change anything, but it should be free. There should be a free, free news. Our civil liberties are being excessively curved in the name of counterterrorism. I would strongly agree with that. I think Roe v. Wade being appealed kind of proves that exact point. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments and delay process of a democratic political system. Ooh. So, when it comes to this particular issue, I think democracy is, you need it. I may completely disagree with people on the right, but you do need a democracy to kind of talk it out. In reality, but it would stop the delay in progress. It would that delay it avoids all the arguments that delay progress. It would technically do that, but the issue is like with a one-party state, right? There's only one train of thought, and even then, like there are still people within the party that have their own like personal different views, but they're like not ideologically so inherently separate that they're in different parties. So I would disagree, but might tamper with my like left thing. I disagree. I do support democracy. It might put me like a little bit less of a leftist, and if it does, then well, boo-hoo, I guess. I'll have to mark myself because that is not a honestly. I'll be honest. Communism actually does say, and the Marxists actually say in the book that he is pro-democracy, and that democracy is the road to socialism. So if it does put me a little bit less to the left, then of course I'm gonna call out the compass for that. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers should be worried. I strongly agree with that. It may be uncomfortable that if there's an authoritarian leadership that they're spying on you, but at the end of the day, as long as it's like everything is idealistic here, there's not an authoritarian leader, then obviously it's fine. I mean, obviously you need like probable cause and everything, but the government going in there with constitutional reasons like a warrant or something, whatever. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. I tend to agree. In a civilized society, one must have people above him to be obeyed and below to be commanded. I strongly disagree. We should not have classes. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I disagree. I don't know what that has to do with politics or anything like that, but I disagree. Criminal justice punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I strongly disagree with that. I am friends with Frick, who is a criminal justice student for a college, and he himself said he disagreed with that, so I'm going to go off of his advice for that one. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. Again, strongly disagree for the exact same reason. A business person at the manufacturer, and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I strongly disagree with that. The writer and the artist are more important because it's their work. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers? No, I disagree. Like they can be, but so can men. So can men. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, who's doing what? I mean, like the women can do the exact same thing men can. Like it doesn't matter. Almost all politicians promise economic growth, but we should heed the warnings of climate science that growth is detrimental to the efforts of curb global warming. I disagree. With the electronic age, you can grow the economy in other ways, other than like physical industrialization. Making peace with the establishment is the most important aspect of maturity. I strongly disagree with that one. Someone that is 17 years old and is only hated the establishment more and more. Astrology explains many things. I strongly disagree. I don't think anyone actually believes that. You cannot be moral without being religious. I disagree. Now, I think everyone is subconsciously a Christian, even if they don't realize it, if they are moral and helping others just to be good. I genuinely believe that. But according to this question, like, do you have to like believe in a religion? No, that is not true. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the generally disadvantaged. It's better than. I disagree. Actually, no, I'll even say strongly disagree. Because at the end of the day, charity is good, and it's good to like do that on top of taxes, but taxes are like a guarantee. So it's better to do Social Security from all of us chipping in to help each other, and it helps better, if that makes sense. Some people are naturally unlucky. I disagree. Some people are born into proletariat, and at which point are being ripped off by the upper class. Doesn't make them unlucky. It just means we're all equally human, and the bourgeoisie is attacking us. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. It's not to me, personally. I myself as a parent would be able to do that myself. I don't really need the school to force it on other kids just for my kid to have those values. Finally, look at sex. Sex outside of marriage is hugely immoral. That is biblically something I have to agree with. A same-sex couple is in a stable relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of adoption. I strongly agree with that. They should not be, yeah. Alright. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. I agree. That's fine. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Yeah, it's not. It really isn't. No one can feel naturally homosexual. I disagree with that. And these days, openness about sex has gone too far. I'm really mixed. I'm gonna say disagree, but in some cases, like depending on how you view furries and other stuff that's become popular, I would probably quickly agree, but I'm not gonna say strongly disagree, but I will disagree. Alright, let's go down. So first, the starting point of the original political compass was in 2001 when we recognized the yada yada yada. This is like crazy. But so basically took the left and right scale and then add libertarian or authoritarian. Nevertheless, the more nationalistic and authoritarian a party or individual is more nevertheless, the more nationalistic or authoritarian a party individual is, the more right-wing they're still labeled. This, of course, is absurd, taking its logical conclusion. It means the further left a country it sets, the more socially liberal the attitudes are. On that basis, North Korea must be a shining model of human rights and social freedoms. Yay! Yeah, it's not true. But yeah, so basically that's just them why they added all that. Libertarians box, but they didn't. And I called it. I called it. Yes, sir, I called it. I think we are. I 100% called it, man. Man, I called it. I knew I was gonna be like a libertarian, a communistic libertarian, bro. Did I give you a name? No, that's just like. What? Where is this on the political compass? Like. I don't know where. I don't know, like, what. Is this like libertarian communism? Is that? Give me a second. What? Oh yeah, this one is a satire. Because it says capitalism with famine, death, squads, etc., etc. Capitalism with famine. Yeah, and of course they added something like this one. And the Taco Bell underage. Yeah. So that's a satire. Oh, they just put like FDR is the only one on the left according to this one. Okay. Which I mean, I don't know, maybe. I don't know, bruh. I just want libertarian communists on the political compass. On political compass. Let's see. This is my flag, guys. Yay! Wolf, wolf, bark, bark. I'm a furry. Ah, la, la. Okay. Um, I don't know. Stalin was real communism. Stalin was real communism. Stalin was real communism. Actually, communism, communism, communism. Okay. Libertarian right, authoritarian left. Y'all are with me, I guess. Okay. I guess I'm with Britain and France up in here. Okay. Let's see. I don't know. Socialists are cool. Neoconservatives cool. Conservative allies. Centrists, leftist allies. Ancoms. I guess I'm an ancom. Okay. So I'm cool, I guess. Okay. Like I guess they're putting me as cool. Yeah. Oh, hey. I just want to find, bruh. I just want to find like anarcho communism. I just want to find libertarian communism. Whatever, whatever, whatever. Let's also like take a political party test real quick while we are here because we've only been like streaming for like 37 minutes. We need to get past that hour mark, so we're gonna search up. I think it is yeah, mail. Start test. Social media platforms must be held accountable for their users post harmful content. I agree. Education and awareness campaigns have better results than. This isn't going to help me out, is it? Yeah, no, it's not. I already got my answer. We don't need to do this one. I wanted to find like one that my school did like yesterday, but.
Did you get it? It's okay. If you can't open it, I just won't use it. It's part of the seasoning I usually put in the soup. Oh, coffee song. Should I ask him? Oh,
Well, I think I know your issue. The attack's still on.
oh. It's so hard. I don't know. It's a tough one. Maybe
Why?
maybe it's not gonna open. Sometimes if you set, maybe I'll set it in hot water and see if it'll open. Okay, thank you. Thank you for trying.
Man. Man, okay. Well, if I have that done, okay. Like, I don't know, genuinely. Like, we took the test, and I wanted to take, like, another one, but I guess it's fine. So I guess we're gonna be... Is that, like, a short, or...
A wise man once told me, never assume you're the smartest person in the room. Prove it.
I was a good person before it all went.
This is what we do.
We are no good for society.
We're shady. People don't like us. For a reason, though.
I'm stealing candy from babies.
Yeah. You think I'm scared of you? I hate
Oh, it's just a short, okay. I'll watch it later. If it was like an actual episode that came out like just while I was streaming, I would like watched it, but I don't care enough to. It's like not like a big thing. Alright guys, so I don't know. Here, let's play some Fortnite of some kind. Or wait a minute, I'll probably want to update. Never mind. Okay, we're good.
I think you loosened it because when I went in there, then I could open it. Thank you.
What if I just like try playing, getting the Roblox Super Chat on? Give me... No! Give me a second. I gotta do something real quick because I know I probably don't have it off. No. Let's play like a solo round real quick to get us like over the hour mark, you know? You know, guys. I'm gonna like join the Robots group chat, see if anyone like, wants to play. Nope, my house is up. Not up, I guess. Nope. Yo, Kuiper, what's that? Yo, Kuiper.
Goddamn fuck. And I should have stayed. God damn it. What the fuck am I doing?
Yo, you alright?
No, I'm alright. Yeah, something about that. Jesus Christ.
Alright.
Yeah.